Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon. This afternoon is we're going to have a loaded show for you today, recapping the sports weekend that was. The Razorbacks were on bye week, but they got a game coming up against Tennessee. Got to hear from Bobby Petrino, the head coach, interim-wise at least. So we'll talk about all the things that he had to say, as well as get into some best and worst of the weekend. We'll get into the chats and what you all are thinking and feeling. And, of course, do the latest in a coaching search that I'm sure everybody's going to agree on and get with. But either way, fellas, hope you had a great weekend. How are the vibes here on this Monday?
My vibes are great today, honestly, man. Like, you know, as the guy who hosts the basketball podcast in this operation, I was locked in, didn't think about football or this coaching search for a single second all weekend, which means I'm not burned out from it all. And like, so I'm legitimately excited to talk about it all today. I'm excited to see this team play against Tennessee. I'm excited to see the Hoop Hogs again this weekend in Hot Springs. I'm excited Bobby Petrino is already fat shaming wide receivers. I'm excited about the trajectory of our business. I'm excited that I've parented a child for a month without breaking him. I'm excited for my right-hand man, Andrew Ellis. Like, all is right in the world. I'm in a very, very good mood going into this day. Please don't worry.
It's hard to have better vibes than I think we have right now. You know, a lot of times Mondays we're reacting to whatever happened over the weekend, but nothing happened, you know, at least in the sports world, at least the Razorback sports world. We had some Kool-Aid served to us on Friday night. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit. That was a lot of fun. Saturday, we did not see Arkansas lose a football game, so vibes are still good here. Bobby Petrino still undefeated as head coach. Baseball, we have baseball to look forward to this week. So, like, we kind of have a loaded sports schedule coming out here recently, and I'm with you, Curtis. I did not spend too much time thinking about the Arkansas head coaching search, and it appears we're alone. It seems like everybody else is like ready to hire the coach right now, and it's kind of cracking me up. But I am happy on this Monday to kind of get back to business, get back to talking football, get back to talking about the head coach, get back to freaking out, and we got all three sports to look forward to this week, which is rare.
Yeah, and it's October's the best time of year, they say, for sports because of all of the different sports that are going on. But yeah, we're going to try to make it all work and try to get into it. And of course, folks, that's why we're a little late today because just as you know, every Monday the press conference for I'll just say the head coach of Arkansas always transpires at noon. You previously Sam Pittman, and last week, of course, was Bobby Petrino, Hunter Yurchek. This time it was just Bobby. Bobby as the interim coach. Walks in, answers questions about the Tennessee matchup as well as some other things. We'll have some clips, but we're going to be honest, the audio was crap. So we'll may play a little bit of it, but if you can't fully understand it, don't worry. We'll try to explain a little bit what was said. But either way, from what we were able to hear, guys, how do you feel like Bobby Petrino handled his very first official press conference on his own as the Arkansas Razorback head football coach?
I thought he did a really good job, man. I really did. I was entertained. I didn't fall asleep like I did with the previous regime. I thought he had some good answers. Like he made me laugh a few times, and I know we'll play those clips. Some Courtney Crutchfield stuff, talking about moving, why he moved to the booth and what he's got to do now that he's back on the sidelines. Some funny stuff in there, but I thought he had some good answers about, you know, some of the changes they're making in practice. And he was asked, and a lot of people were irritated. I noticed that he wasn't asked about this, maybe. Like on Monday or on the teleconference or whatever last week, of just diagnosing the effort issues. Like how big of an issue was that for you? How much of a reason was that for what's going on? And he was kind of asked about it. And I do think it's a fair question, but I like what he said about, listen, we're not so much worried about what we were doing as much as what we need to do. You know, we're not looking in the rear view mirror. We've got to look forward. He's absolutely right at this point. Like, you're a week into this. It's game week. It's Tennessee prep. And, they're trying to win a football game and he's trying to win a job. So I thought he was pretty dialed in, showed up at 12 noon on the dot, not early, not late, right on time. I like it, man. I thought he did a good job.
Yeah, I thought he was in good spirits. He was kind of like smiling. I wouldn't say he was super like, there was that one press conference in fall camp where we got weirded out, where we were like, why was he smiling so much? It wasn't that much, but I thought he was in good spirits. He had answers to questions, and it's not like anything was crazy. We came away from it being like, whoa, Bobby crushed the Monday presser. I just like that he had answers to all the questions. And I know that may sound simple, saying, hey, Bobby, can you identify some things that have been happening? Can you identify some things you need to do better, some things you've done well, what you're going to try to do moving forward? And again, he didn't have groundbreaking answers, but he had answers. And I feel bad because every time I say something, I have to say, I'm not trying to make fun of Sam Pittman, But a lot of times we would like they would ask Sam Pittman press conference questions, and he would be like, "Well, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look," or "Well, maybe I can ask so and so about that." And like he just genuinely didn't know. Not that he didn't have a good answer, he just genuinely didn't have any answer, didn't have any solution, didn't have whatever. And with Bobby, it's just nice to hear him have answers to questions. I really appreciated just hearing his perspective, and I think he's in good spirits. But I also am not coming away from this being like, I now think they're going to win out.
Well, it was to your point, Andrew, about Petrino and comparing it to Pittman. It's the same thing because it happens all the time with any coaching change. Everything that changes, especially if the coaching change was built off of a negative thing, it becomes a positive or a negative depending on how you look at it. Like I remember when Petrino was let go and Bielema came in, I was like, man, it's just so nice to hear a coach like talk with us and be nice to us and all of this. And I mean, change happens even in the simplest of things when it comes to, say, the press conferences. And getting to hear Bobby where it's no longer, there was a few questions here and there about what's this like, doing this, doing that. But I'm sure he was just happy to be asked about Tennessee, about the matchup, about the game, about the sport of football that he loves. But he was asked a few things about changes. And I thought it was pretty fascinating. One of the things that I'm glad was asked was about just some of the changes being made to practices, because that was the thing of, now that you're the head coach, you bring in some new coaches. You obviously got to change some things. Does that include practice? And again, apologize for the audio, but hopefully we can make it out. But either way, here's what he had to say about some of the changes he's made to the practices with Razorback football.
Yeah, they've changed. I've always believed this, and I think it's because when I was first young in the profession, the guy told me once that you can only coach what you know. And what I know is the schedule that I like and the way it goes. And so there's some change in that, and there will be not a big 4-day-a-week practice guy, although we're going to get out there today and sweat and work hard and go. What I normally like to do after the game is bring them back on Sunday night, watch the video, let the vets or the guys that played in the game get out and run. It gets the soreness out, and then practice the young guys and get them to improve knowing the offense and defense and working through that on Sunday night practice. Give them Monday off, and then come back and have a good Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday schedule of how we work and prepare. So we'll do that after this game, but we have to get out there because we've had 3 days off and really get out there and sweat and do a quick hour of practice and get off the field today.
So talking about his practices, talking about getting out there and sweating, getting out there, which I think is a bigger kind of thing maybe I've took from this press conference and just in general. I get the vibe that Bobby Petrino thinks that everybody's just out of shape and everybody's just not where they need to be physically, and has felt that way since he's arrived on campus. I know you made the joke, Curtis, about Courtney Crutchfield and what he had to say about him, but it's like, he didn't go through, it's like, oh, well, we're doing this drill instead of this drill. It's more about frequency and getting out there. And to me, I think that in Bobby's mind, when it goes back to going back to the fundamentals and the basics, those are two things that they got to be consistent with, and they got to start getting after. It's like, hey, we need these guys to start moving, start sweating, start getting after it a little bit physically and trying to push themselves a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, even when Sam Pittman was still in charge, one of the things that he said when he was asked about, did you feel like they were loafing or there was lack of effort? And he was kind of like, well, yeah, it could have been that. It could have been the heat. We could just be out of shape. Maybe it was all the above. But yeah, this is not a new development here, that there's some thought process that the Razorback players might not be like out of shape is a relative term. Like compared to me, they're in great shape. Okay. But to win SEC football games and to last 4 quarters, especially with some of the depth issues they have at particular positions, you got to be in tip top conditioning, man. And, if he feels like that's not a thing, we know how Petrino is and how he operates. And, yes, we will get to the Courtney Crutchfield comments, and he was very specific about the areas of his body that needed to improve, and now he's in position to play more. But yeah, man, I thought that was interesting. I like I kind of like the premise of you play on Saturday, you watch the film on Sunday, and then this is something that we used to do a little bit, but just kind of like the guys are tired, especially if you don't have that much depth. Like, does Cam Ball really need to be out there going through a full practice on Monday? Probably not. And he's going to play 70 snaps over the weekend anyway. So yeah, get a little jog in, break a sweat, get rid of some of that soreness and the lactic acid, and then let the young guys get out there and get after it and get better. I think that's an interesting approach. And I kind of like it. It's a little bit different.
Well, and bye weeks are always fascinating, and now you have 2 bye weeks, and of course, this is a unique one where you fired the whole coaching staff, so it's a very, very unique bye week. But bye weeks are always a time where if you're gonna try and do something weird or try to do something different, a bye week is a good time to do that. I know Arkansas is now coming out of the bye week. You're never gonna go from being a really bad football team to a really good one throughout a bye week. But if there were a time where you're gonna noticeably have real changes, whether that be getting guys back from injury, maybe making a move at a key position, trying things out with a depth chart, or just trying out different methodology. Like, this is kind of the time to do it. And so I'm all for it. And, with their depth issues, we've seen Arkansas, by the way, do this before. It's not a completely foreign concept, but we've seen Arkansas do this before where I think it was during the Pittman era where they were like, yeah, we just don't feel great about our depth. So, like, we're not going to practice as hard with our ones. We're going to kind of scale things back. And so I think it's interesting that Bobby strikes me as the guy that has held his tongue, and then once he was finally asked for his opinion, he had 13 things to check off. And he was like, kind of, while he's the OC, it's not necessarily his job to worry about the team shape. It's not necessarily his job to worry about the practice plan or the conditioning and all these things. But now that you're going to put me in this job, in this head coaching spot, now that you're going to put me in charge, this is what I think we should do. And so here we are. And so I think this is a good time to try this. Will it change anything that Arkansas has in terms of their depth and how hard they're able to play on Saturday? I don't know, but you got to try something during this time period.
Well, speaking of holding his tongue, apparently that's what he's had to do by being up in the booth compared to up in the sidelines now as calling plays, because he was asked about the differences between the two now that he's going to be back on the sidelines again.
I don't think it'll be that much difference. I've been down on the sideline and called plays for years and years. I went upstairs this year. I thought maybe I could get a better look at it and to be honest with you, get away from the officials and just be able to focus on offense. So I've got to do a good job of just keeping my plays on the sideline and focus on calling the plays and seeing the defenses and really understanding what's going on out on the field.
This man over here, you could tell I think he was frustrated to even have to bring it up. He started fiddling with his collar. It was just like, he was just like, I'm about to get mad again, just thinking about some of the officials. But how about that? Yeah, Bobby's like, I did it very much to get away from the officials, keep myself together instead of losing my mind on it. Cause I'm not the head coach, which kind of tells me, we're going to see some pit bull Bobby Petrino after the officials now that he has nothing to hold him back.
Yeah, the only thing I disagree with there is that he needs to maintain some poise on the sideline. I don't want that at all, man. Go crazy down there. I'm all for it. That was hilarious. Yeah, he definitely tried to take the PC route there of like, oh yeah, I was trying to get a better view. And then, he probably thought what we were all thinking, which is, dude, you've been down on the sidelines for decades of your career. You don't need a view. You know exactly what you're doing. He was like, nah, it's the officials, man. I get so pissed off. I can't focus on calling plays. So I love it. I cannot wait. This is one of the things that I'm most excited about is that we know, regardless of how the game's going for Arkansas, you're playing well, playing poorly, whatever, that the camera is going to be on Bobby so much that we're going to get some absolute gold, man. He's going to be the most memed and gift head coach in college football on Saturday, and I can't wait for it. I'm here for it.
Well, it's interesting that he brought up the ref thing today, which completely valid and makes sense, because the first time he was asked about the sideline versus the booth thing, he said that part of the reason he went up to the booth was he liked to be a few steps ahead, and he was able to think about play calling from a more big picture standpoint and really see things. And okay, maybe I can plan a little bit further because you're just focusing on the offense. Which now that he's come back down to the sideline. Fair, we can have that conversation of, is that going to affect that? Is he not going to be able to have that? But I think we all agree the effort and the looking the players in the eyes and checking the morale and, hey, maybe even checking on the officials, because that is something the head coach does kind of do. I think we're all kind of good for that trade-off, right? Where, okay, Bobby, you're still going to call the plays, you're still going to do all this. We're cool if you maybe channel some of that energy into some other things and still call plays. And, we're good to kind of take the pros and the cons that come with that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I want to see a little bit of change, because that's the thing is, like, we talk about change obviously with the head coaching situation with Pittman and the fact that you've been struggling and you've looking so bad. I think everyone's like, yeah, see, I want to see the opposite of almost everything, even if the things don't matter. It's like, I want to see the opposite of everything. I want to see a coach ripping somebody. Does that mean that, oh, well, if he's ripping somebody, that's going to make them for sure better and they're going to win a lot more games? I don't know. Maybe not, but it's not going to hurt. It's not going to be something to where you look at it and be like, oh, that's why they lost the game. They just, we talk about culture. We talk about everything that goes along with it. To me, those are the little things that changes that and gets people kind of to understand that, it's about the motivation that Petrino has. He's not just waiting for this year to go out. He wants this job. And so he's going to be motivated. He's going to be on edge. He's going to be pushing people because this is what he wants. And he doesn't care who gets in his way. And if you do get in his way, he's going to find a way to get you out of his way and off the team or whatever. So I want to see that. I want to see somebody that gets fired up and somebody that fights, because it just felt like there was never fight in the team, never fight late in games, never fight for, penalties that were not penalties or anything like that. It would be nice to just see some fight in this team. And if it's led by your head coach, it usually trickles down onto the team as well.
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the oldest cliches out there in sports, is that a team takes on the personality of its coach. And they certainly did throughout the early portions of the season. So if that holds over now that they made a change, then that could be a good thing for Arkansas, because I'm with you, man. I would love to see a little bit more fight, a little bit more fire and passion in the burning moments there, and just better execution come winning time. And when you have one coach who was, down 2 touchdowns in the win-loss column in 1 possession games, and then you have a guy like Bobby who does have a track record for winning, then maybe that'll help you out. So I'm anxious to see what type of energy we see from this coaching staff. I know he talked a lot about that with Jay Hayes, who he brought in, and the defensive coordinator that he promoted. He did say that, I really like calling plays and coaching my quarterbacks. Now I got to meet with special teams. So it sounds like he's had a conversation with Scott Fountain. I don't know how that went, but yeah, I mean, I'm just anxious to see the new identity of this football team, and hopefully it's a good thing for them.
Y'all are going to be stunned to hear this, but the chat is taking y'all's comments and assuming that y'all are saying that Arkansas is going to be really good now with Bobby Petrino as the head coach, and y'all are really like buying into the hype here. But I know what you guys are saying, which is just simple. You did something wrong. Now we're trying to fix it, so we're going to do something very different. Mm-hmm. Will that work? Who knows? But the premise of that definitely makes sense. I thought one of the most interesting moments of this press conference was someone just asked kind of the basic question of, hey, what are the differences between your responsibilities as OC and head coach? And he was like, there's a lot more for me to do. I have to go meet with the trainer. I have to go sit in a special teams meeting. I have to go sit with the defense. I have to go do these. I have to go, bring these guys in for classes and stuff. All the different responsibilities. And I just really sat there and thought about it, and thought about Sam Pittman doing all of those things. Thought about him going to talk to the trainer, doing all this. And then thought about Bobby Petrino doing those same things. And John, I know your Alumni Hall question of the day. We'll get to that in a minute, but just in a nutshell, I just feel like Bobby would probably do a better job at a lot of those things. Like, I just kind of feel like, hey, he has his own specific ideas of how that looks. And listen, when you're talking to the trainer, I don't think it's a groundbreaking, different philosophical approach or anything, but it's just like, I kind of trust Bobby to handle that. I think he can do okay with that. And so again, what will this look like in terms of wins and losses? Will this completely change the way the team plays? I really don't know. But in terms of conceptually, I do think there is something to the idea that you're selling this team on the idea that we're going to just start doing things completely differently. And y'all can either buy in or not. We'll see how it goes.
Well, I do think that I just like one quick thing to say here. I think that we all agree with this, but I understand that he was an assistant or a subordinate for the last year and some change, but Arkansas now has a better head coach than it did a couple weeks ago. I mean, yeah, is that a controversial take? I don't think that it is. So to your point about doing a lot of these things, maybe a little bit better or differently, whatever, like, yeah, I kind of think that's going to be the case. No disrespect to Sam and what he did here, but I mean, it is what it is, man.
To your point, at least the job that was being done the last 5 weeks. Because I think,
sure.
Sam Pittman right now is a little bit different than Sam Pittman in 2021 when he was very motivated, when he had a good culture set, when he had a lot of seniors. The context was very different, but I'm with you that in terms of the intensity that these jobs are being done with, in terms of the attention to detail that some of these jobs are being done, like I at least believe, maybe it's only 5%, but I do think Bobby is probably doing them with a little bit more attention to detail and a little bit more vigor.
Well, it's funny. It's almost like you read my mind, Curtis, because that was something like I was going to bring up. But you're right. It's like, how many times in any sport, but we'll just use college football, have you had a firing midseason in the interim without even coaching a game yet is already perceived as a better head coach than the guy that got fired? Like very, very, very few times does that actually happen. There's times that it maybe works itself into that. Like I think it was at Clemson when they had Bowden there and he got fired, and then Dabo took over as interim and then they gave it to him. I think that's the case. I could be wrong. But if not there, there's been other cases where people, talked about like Ed Orgeron versus Les Miles. I mean, we could split hairs there, but the point is, this is what makes this so unique. I know it gets brought up. It's a very unique situation where you made a firing and already everyone's like, we have a better head coach than what we had a week ago. And he hasn't even coached a game yet.
By the way, John, it's also happened when a lesser coach has taken over. Like it really, like even if it's not a real thing, like Ed Orgeron took over for Lane Kiffin at USC. Ed Orgeron is not a better coach than Lane Kiffin, but in that moment, in that context for that team, he was the better head coach. I don't know if Ed Orgeron's a better head coach than Les Miles. I mean, probably is. You can make that argument. But like when he took over for Les Miles in that context for that team and for what they needed, he was a better head coach. And we've seen it happen a few times. Ryan Day, Urban Meyer, same kind of thing. Like there's these things that just kind of happen. And when they happen in this context for this team, I think there's a very easy argument to be made that Bobby is kind of what this team needs more than, the version of Sam Pittman that was sandbagging a little bit.
I'll tell you what, we'll continue to get to this discussion and have some more things to talk about when it comes to Bobby Petrino's press conference today. But I want to remind everybody that Hickey & Hole Law is the official law firm of us here at Inside Arkansas. We know that divorce and custody cases are extremely important because you're dealing with family. You're dealing with your own approach to how you can make sure you get your families protected, not only yourself in the way of your family, but also when children are involved. These are extremely, extremely difficult times that you can't do alone, and you should never do alone. So let the professionals, let the best in the business help you out and guide you through this entire process with Hickey & Hole Law. They are big on their attorney-client relationship because they build it on honesty and trust, and you will know that they will always give you the best advice and provide the honest principle representation that you need. So give them a call today at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. You can also check out their website at hickeyandhole.com. It's Hickey & Hole Law. Things are about to get better. Okay, so again, we'll have some chats. We'll have a lot of things to get to, folks. But I did want to play also when we're talking about Petrino. Again, sorry for the audio, but he brought up he's asked about the defensive issues, which, I mean, pick your poison here. I was looking at the game notes for this Tennessee game, which is amazing. And I know we'll talk about this, I'm sure, as the week goes on. It's amazing how, like, statistically speaking, these teams are pretty even in a lot of ways, offensively, defensively, and everything. But when your defense has been as bad as Arkansas's, there's probably a plenty of room for improvement. When he was asked about some of the issues that the defense have been going through and maybe perhaps some of the things they can do to fix it moving forward.
Combination of all, it's kind of how we looked at it. And, we try to just put it behind us and let's say, hey, they're off the rearview mirror. Let's look forward. And this is what we need to do. Not so much of what we haven't been doing, but what we need to do. And, we need to do a better job of getting the line quickly, getting our eyes where they belong, and everybody getting in a good stance. I'm a big guy at stance. I think that football is, starting point is that I'm in a proper stance and my eyes are right. So we've been drilling that and working hard on it and they've improved on it. Then you got to get off, if you're a D lineman, you got to beat the offensive lineman to his technique. Usually up front, whoever gets to their technique first has a great advantage to win that play. And it's really about one play battles between the O-line and the D-line. Our linebackers are working hard at their eyes and what we're seeing and then fitting the league. Whether I'm a gap fit on this particular look or I'm a straight fit on this look, we've got to be in the right spots. And then our secondary, our safety's got to work off of that. So sometimes if the linebackers are out of the right spot, then the secondary doesn't know how to fit, where to go, and that's where you get the big plays and the explosive plays. So that's kind of the starting point. I think it's important we all know how to shed blocks. We're working hard at shedding blocks. And then when you mention the effort, it's running full speed to the ball, not running to the ball, running full speed to the ball. We get all 11 guys doing that. Then good things happen. You get more hits, you get more turnovers. It's just good things happen when everyone sprints to the football.
Never have I heard someone so boring make me feel so excited and confident about the simplest things like that. And, it's not that he's saying anything groundbreaking, but it's just a matter of, listen, this is the offensive coordinator. I know he's been a head coach, but you're talking about the offensive coordinator having to fire the entire defensive staff and he's asked about, hey, how can you fix this? And he just goes through all the things. It's not like the general, oh, we're going to work on this in practice. It's like, no, we're going to have to do this. We're going to have to be, in those positions, the stances of this team, the way you're having your stance, the running to the ball, not running to the ball, running full speed to the ball, like just the simple things to where I don't know how much better the defense is going to be. But man, Bobby makes it sound like it's simple. He makes it sound like it's just a thing of like, hey, a few tweaks here and there, and you may actually have a defense worth a flip in this conference.
Well, yeah, I mean, I like the approach here. When your defense has been a toxic wasteland, like I'm all for a clean slate and a fresh start, and that includes the coaches. You know what I mean? So like, they don't need to go and dissect everything that had been going wrong. They don't need to go back. Like if I'm a player, me watching the Notre Dame film is not going to fix my vibes, and it's not going to make me a better football player. Basic football fundamentals, like that's where it starts. Why? Because you've been lacking in all those areas. And so, yeah, running full speed and flying to the football, that's the most basic and overused term that you hear from defensive coordinators and defensive coaches in this sport. But it's really a thing. Like if you're flying to the football, then you're going to be in a better position to make plays. Shedding blocks. It's one of the most fundamental things that you learn, and they suck at it. So spending some time working on that, good. Finishing tackles, wrapping up, all those little things are just things that this team hasn't been doing. So yeah, but before you can start working on, in my opinion, switching up schemes and different coverages, and let's bring some exotic blitzes, and how are we going to hide this interior defensive line? Like all these things, do the basics, man. Yeah, the run fitting, just it's football 101. Figure that out, see what you have, and then you can make your tweaks from there. So I think it's not only do I think it's the right approach, I think it's the only approach you can take given what we've seen from this defense so far this year.
Yeah, and listen, I'm assuming if he's saying it a lot to the media, you would imagine it's been a point of emphasis for them. He says the same things when he talks about the defense every time. Eyes, alignment, stance, every single time. And you're right, Curtis. It's like, just get back to those basics. When you look at a football team, there's no shortage of things you can fix. Even in a good football program, you're always constantly in problem-solving mode, and you just go through and look at the list of, all right, what things can we fix? And I love the approach of, hey, we're not going to sit there and look at this defense and try and dissect what all we can fix, because we're never going to be able to do that. Let's just start from scratch doing a very simple technique here, and let's just see what we can do. And by the way, like they're not going to be able to fix the talent issue. You might not honestly be able to even fix the effort issue, because once a quitter, kind of always a quitter. You're not going to be able to fix the depth issue. But what you can do is just control what you can control. And as a head coach, as Bobby Petrino in this circumstance, which we all agree is a really disadvantageous position, all you can do is control what you can control. And as coaches, from what's left of the coaching staff and the guys they brought in, they can just put these guys in the best position possible and then let the rest take care of it. And then you're going to continue to solve problems. But I think they're at least having the right approach. And I hope that y'all are not hearing this in the chat and hearing us and thinking we are believing they are now going to be playing good defense.
Absolutely not.
But I think in terms of trying to make the best of a bad situation, all you can do is do the best, of what you can control. And I think they're at least attempting to do that, which I honestly don't believe was the case 2 weeks ago. I don't think they were trying to make the best of a bad situation. I think it was just a bunch of people that didn't want to work together.
Yeah, but they proved. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you're looking at the numbers, though, it's kind of like you're dead last in most of the statistical categories in the conference. So it's like you can only go up.
Exactly.
It's like if the defense sucks against Tennessee, is everyone going to be like, oh, Petrino, see, I knew this guy was a joke. It's like, I mean, if anybody thinks that there's going to be just this massive defensive change to where you're going from dead last to even middle of the pack, you're kidding yourself. It's just an impossibility. But can you go from 16th to 14th?
Yeah.
Maybe,
maybe you can. I think that's what some people expected and hope for, at least.
Yeah. I mean, you go from non-existent to, maybe just holding a team to a field goal instead of a touchdown every once in a while. Forcing the occasional punt instead of not getting one until the fourth quarter of a football game that's already out of reach, or a turnover every other game or something. There's not that high of a barometer to clear here if you're going to be improved when literally everything that you're doing is going horrifically wrong. I mean, it's teams are scoring every possession. It's unbelievable. So yeah, hell. And if the offense is humming like it was earlier in the season, and he talked about that too, like, okay, we got to be able to run the ball better in the third quarter like we have in the first half. We get it. We've got to be better, in the second half, whatever. But if they can get back to where they were offensively, all you really need is a couple stops here and there to be in ball games. Now, whether you win them or not, I don't know, but good grief. Yeah. I mean, the defense has been so bad. So it's crazy that we kind of continue to have to throw it out there, but we know how people will twist some words. Like, this is not suddenly going to become the 85 Bears or something out there. Right. It's like, don't expect that, but all right, make a stop or two. That's improvement. You take the little things in life.
Yeah, football is a sport typically where the team that's more talented wins. More often than not, it's not like a foreign concept, but in football especially, that's such a physicality-based sport and line of scrimmage-based sport. If you have the better Jimmies and Joes, you're probably going to have a better chance to win. But if you have two teams that are equal, it's going to come down to who is doing those little things right, who's putting themselves in a better position to win. And so, yeah, like you said, there's going to be plenty of matchups. Hell, there might be one this Saturday where Arkansas just doesn't have a team good enough to win. That's very possible. And if you lose a game against a team that's better than you, you don't feel good about it, but at least conceptually, that's fine. Arkansas has lost multiple games this year, or at least one. They lost to a team they were better than because they weren't putting themselves in the best chance possible. And against Ole Miss, you're going to try and win an SEC game on the road. You have to give yourself the best chance possible. You're not going to shut down Lane Kiffin's offense, but if you're in the right spot, you're in the right alignment, you have the right stance, your eyes are in the right place, you can at least give yourself a chance. And so, like you said, John, maybe you go from 16 to 14, or to your point, Curtis, maybe you pick off that pass that you were 2 steps slow on a few weeks ago. It's those little opportunities, and Arkansas just has to do those little things to even give themselves a chance. There will still be plenty of games this year and years to come where they just don't have they play good football but just don't win. That's fine. It's just when you have those chances to win, whether it's against Auburn, Mississippi State, Missouri, maybe you go on the road to LSU or Texas haven't looking good, and you have a chance to win. I just want to see an Arkansas team that at least puts themselves in position to have a chance. In the last 2 games that we watched this team play, it felt like they went out of their way to not give themselves a chance to win, especially on defense.
Well, I'm looking at the stats, guys. And again, I know it's game notes and, it's not anything surprising. You want to know what Arkansas ranks in the SEC dead last in the statistical categories, what they rank dead last in the SEC in? Scoring defense, total defense, rushing defense, third down conversion percentage defense, pass efficiency defense, and first downs allowed. Those are the stats that they are dead last in. And the only ones that they're not dead last in is rushing defense or passing defense, which they're actually 15th. They're not dead last in the SEC. They're also, where's the other one? They are, where was it? Okay. Oh, right. So red zone defense, they're 13th. So those are like the only statistical categories. So that's my thing is I'm like, okay, if you're dead last and you're that bad, and not just in 1 or 2, you're talking about every major statistical defensive category, then again, you can only go up. You can only go up. It's just unfortunate though for Arkansas, and this is what's going to be funny. Tennessee ranks first in pretty much every offensive category in the SEC. So it's not even like you could have a good barometer saying, hey, maybe this improved. You got to go up against one of your toughest tests. So it's just fascinating to see how the numbers play out. And again, it's nobody's hit the portal. In fact, even Petrino said, hey, no one hit the portal. They got all the players. I didn't think he had any injuries to report, or at least didn't mention anybody. I don't know if he was even asked, but I guess we'll see the injury report when it comes out. But either way, I mean, you only got who you got, and you just got to try to find a way to make it work. I don't think we're going to see the 14-point performance from last season's Tennessee team in this one against Tennessee. I just don't see that happening.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say if Arkansas holds Tennessee to 14 points, I think Arkansas wins. I think it's a good thing.
I'll buy that.
Well, dude, you remember because we've seen some really bad defenses at Arkansas. And so I hear these stats, and obviously this is a different level of it. But you remember the 2022 Arkansas defense, which was, I think, the worst pass defense in the entire country by the end of the year. And I don't know where they ranked in total defense, maybe 13, 14. But at least with that defense, and as bad as they were, when they faced bad quarterbacks, they didn't get diced up. When you faced a good quarterback like a Bryce Young or whoever, you would get diced up, and that's how you had the defense that was that bad. But you at least they were at least putting teams in position to, hey, you have to make plays. And then if you're pretty good, you'll make plenty of plays against us, but we're at least going to force you to make the plays. That's just what I want to see. Put Tennessee in a position to make, or where they have to make plays, and Joey Aguilar is probably going to make a lot of them. Their run game is probably going to make a lot of those plays, but you at least have to force their hand. And it's crazy watching some of these, like the highlights of some of these games. And it's like, damn, not only were they not even putting these teams in a position to have to make plays, they really were just like not out there. Like some of the routes they were run were just uncontested. There just was no pushback at all. And so there really are levels to this.
Well, I'm going to ask you guys, and this is going to sound mean, and I know that they're probably not even thinking this way, but do you think there's an element of Josh Heupel and all of them when they were looking at Arkansas with Pittman and then they found out that Petrino's now the coach and they're probably like, oh, crap. Not that they're going to lose, but just more of like, yeah, this one's going to be a different change. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult to get ready for because, you know, and again, I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm harsh on Pittman. It's more about the Bobby Petrino element of it, of like that he is a bona fide great head coach. I would not feel this way if it was Travis Williams as the DC or Scott Fountain or whoever was the interim coach. I would not feel this way, but it's like the Petrino angle. I don't know of any other coach that you could have in this situation that could make for a better interim than right now. And so, you know, we'll see. But either way, I'm just wondering if Hype and all them are like, ah, crap, this is going to be a little bit more difficult than we were hoping it would be because Petrino's there. That's what I'm hoping for, at least.
They should feel that way.
I don't think they feel that way because of Petrino, but I think they feel that way because they fired Sam Pittman, and now their job in terms of what they're going to have to do to prepare for Arkansas is just different. And it's not like it's going to be, maybe it'll be harder or whatever, but it's like they just don't know what they are preparing for, which helps. Like like Petrino, I don't think they look at Petrino and they're like, oh crap, because I mean, they were going to have to coach against Petrino anyway. I think it's just the fact that, oh crap, they fired 3 coaches on defense. They fired the head coach. They really are likely to do something very different schematically, where if Pittman were the head coach, you would still prepare for the same schematics and you'd feel way better about the matchup. Now they just don't know really what they're preparing for, and they had 2 weeks to not know what to prepare for.
I just love the chaos, and I hope it keeps going. But that's part of our Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by our friends over at Alumni Hall. It's the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. They have everything in stock, all the brand new Razorback apparel you could possibly want. It's incredible to see all the jerseys, all the polos, all the high-end things, whether it's Johnny-O, whether it's Southern Tide, whether it's Columbia. They have the latest and greatest things for all things Razorback fans. And it's not just for the guys. They have it for the women, too. They have it for the kids. They even have pets. You can get your pet all decked up and some Razorback gear. And don't forget about their decor you can have in your home. They have things you can have for the tailgate. They have it all. So check them out online at insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. That's insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. And use that code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase. And for part of the Alumni Hall question of the day, I just want to see where Hog fans felt. It's a simple one of, do you believe Arkansas will be a better overall team in these final 7 games than they were in the first 5 games? I'm not saying wins and losses. I'm not saying stats. I'm just saying just overall a better team in these final 7 games than they were in the first 5 games. 73% of you say yes, they will be a better team than what we saw in the first 5 games. But that still leaves out about 27% saying no, they won't be. I thought about putting like the same as one of the options, but I'm like, nah, put the pressure on the people to go one way or the other. We don't do this neutral Switzerland stuff. You got to be one side or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, I think they'll be a better team. Is it going to reflect in the win-loss record? Probably not, but who have they beaten this year anyway? You know, so yeah, I think they'll be a little bit better.
I think they'll be a little bit better too. I don't feel like super strongly about it. Like if they show up against Tennessee and they really are like they lose 59-3, like that honestly, it's not going to be like the most stunning thing I've ever seen, because it's very possible that a lot of the players on the team completely let go of the rope, which could happen with anybody. I do think they're going to be better, but I'm not even going to make an argument of like, oh, they definitely are. But I think if we are answering yes, which most of us are, what does that mean? Because if we're saying they're better than the team that went to Ole Miss and had a very real chance to win, well, then they're probably going to have a chance to beat Mississippi State or Auburn or someone like that, you know? So it's like, I think there's an interesting conversation to have there. I do lean yes, but I also agree with your sentiment, Curtis, that like, I don't think it's going to be big enough to where it's really going to move the needle in terms of what they can do down the stretch.
Well, and also I'll add this too. And again, I always feel bad, and I'm just going to stop saying it. It's like, it's not a slight against Pittman, but it's like, just the little things, man. Like I don't know if Petrino will be perfect at game management and clock management and timeout management. I don't know, but I feel like he'll be better than Pittman. And those are the little things, the tiniest little things that can make a difference in these one possession games that we've always talked about. And to me, that's where it's like, if you just have that, the little things already better automatically because of Petrino being the guy, then yeah, you're going to be a better team, because that's really what it came down to in some cases for Arkansas. But I want to put it to you guys like this too. And this is honestly me asking, because I don't have an answer, but I want your thought on it. When Petrino brings up all the things he's doing or they're wanting to do and trying to do and get specific with it, do you feel like he brings those up, all of those up, specifically because they weren't doing any of them before? Or do you think that they were doing some of them, but he's just kind of relaying the information?
I'm sure he's doing some of that. Yeah, I bet it's a combination of both those things. He talked about, I can't remember the exact quote. I think he said, you can only coach what you know.
Yeah.
And so there's some things that are probably very specific to him that it might not be like an area that they were struggling in or deficient in or whatever, but it's just what he does. And so I could see some of that. But yeah, I bet it's a kind of a combination of all the above. Obviously, there's a ton that you have to fix. And like Andrew said earlier, you're not going to be able to do all of it. So you got to kind of prioritize and pick and choose your spots to do certain things there. But yeah, I mean, there's no sense in him just picking up right where Sam left off and doing things the same way and just trying to do them a little bit better, especially when you have the experience that he does. So yeah, personal preference, things you got to work on, combination of all.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also specifically on the defensive front, I think a lot of times this is a Bobby that has coached against this Arkansas defense in practice every day, and then obviously in some scrimmages leading up to the season. And I think when you're an offensive coordinator and you call a play and it works, usually you have a pretty good idea of why it worked. You have an idea of what happened with the defense. What action did we get that was successful? And so when he mentions eyes and alignment and a lot of those things, I wonder if that's from personal experience. If he's like, we ran this play in the scrimmage 7 times and it worked every time because the linebacker's eyes were not in the right spot every single time, and because they were not lined up correctly every single time. And so I wonder if that he's maybe, like you're saying, John, like speaking from literal personal experience of like, I watched our team struggle with these specific things, so that's why I'm emphasizing some of this so aggressively.
And I'll even throw it in too, where I'm not trying to start nothing. However, remember that little small report that came out about there was like a physical altercation at practice, with Petrino and defensive coaches and all of that. I don't know if that happened for sure or not, but I'm wondering, just because of how Petrino is and being the control obsessive compulsive freak he is, just makes me wonder if there were a lot of times where Petrino was almost, whether he was trying to hold his tongue or not being successful holding his tongue in the way other people were doing it. Because that's the thing to me about the defensive side. And this is, again, not a slight against Travis Williams or anything, but when you hear Petrino say these things, it's like, okay, so what was Travis Williams and all these guys doing? Were they not doing those things? Were they not doing it effectively? Was it something to where when they weren't doing it effectively, Petrino went over here and be like, what are y'all are terrible at this. Let me show you how to do it. And then they get mad. Like, I don't know. I'm very fascinated. We'll never know, but I'm just very fascinated about how that dynamic worked, knowing Petrino and the type of personality he is, but also hearing the things he says where he's like, I wonder how much he was looking at practices offensively, defensively, or whatever, just be like, what are we doing? What are we doing right now? And did he talk to Pittman about that? He's like, you have to do something. I don't know. I would love to just see a Hogs Plus behind the scenes of that entire scenario and see if anything came.
Oh yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, we've been sitting here doing the, what are you doing? Sam Pittman, you've got to do something. And Bobby Petrino knows a hell of a lot more football than we do. So I'm sure he was like, what in the world is going on here? And I think that also goes back to some of the things that he said about, his DC that he promoted and the hire that he made and the familiarity and everything that you have going along there. Just getting some people in positions that, you can only do so much in the middle of the season, but getting some guys that you trust who know what they're doing and kind of share the same vision with you is an important part of the process. If he didn't feel like there were some irreversible issues with this defense, he wouldn't have fired them all. So
true.
I'm sure that he had some very pointed thoughts about that well before he even got put in this the position that he's in now.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting, of course, that this defensive staff was probably going to get fired regardless. Like, even if Pittman had stayed, they were probably going to get fired. But certainly doesn't dispel the narrative, John, that as soon as Bobby Petrino becomes the head coach, the 3 guys over there get fired. It's like, obviously, again, there was a lot that went in. We all agreed they need to move on, but it reminds me of when Dwight Schrute, when they were pretending like Dwight Schrute was going to be the manager, and he went and visited with Jan, and then Michael was doing the whole thing, and in that 10 minutes that Dwight Schrute was the regional manager, he was about to start firing everybody. He was about to start firing Pam, firing Jim, firing everyone. And it's like, it definitely doesn't die down that narrative that there was dissension between offense and defense, when as soon as the OC takes over as head coach, the entire defensive staff is completely changed. And now they're starting from scratch on everything they're doing.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this story, but I'm going to say it anyway. I hope I don't get in trouble, but real quick story. I know you told you guys that about this, but I remember it was the Arkansas-Mississippi State game where it was 7-3, the famous one. And where I was sitting happened to be in the same area, in the same suite that Eric Musselman was sitting watching the game. And you guys remember that timeout, no timeout thing that backed up Cam Little? Funniest thing ever is when that moment happened, Muss says, "Done." And then he walked out. I never saw him again. And I'm like, that's when you know, as a head coach, whether it doesn't matter the sport, but it's like if you see malpractice of like coaching, it eats at you. So my point is, like, I'm sure that there were times as Bobby Petrino, there were things that were just eating at him for this. So anyways, just a little fun little thing. Don't come at me, Muss, please. All right. We'll get into your chats, folks, but also want to remind, and we'll have a few final clips real quick to play as well, but want to remind everybody about our official real estate expert here at Inside Arkansas. It's Gracie Frizzell of Collier and Associates. She's officially licensed in both Arkansas and in Oklahoma, and she's here to take care of all of your real estate needs. Whether you're looking for an investment property, a game day getaway, land investment, or a new home, Gracie is your trusted guide from start to finish. So you can give them a call or text today at 501-690-3868 for questions on all things real estate. That's 501-690-3868. Or you can check her out on Instagram at Gracie Frizz. It's Gracie Frizzell of Collier and Associates, the official real estate expert of Inside Arkansas. Okay, a couple more clips here we'll play just from Petrino. One of them being just what Petrino wants to see. What does he want to see from this team in these final few weeks?
Yeah, I want us to do the process right, do the things that you need to do to win games. And that's our preparation and how we practice, how we go about our daily business, how the players are in the building, in the weight room. And then that gives you the opportunity to win. As long as you're doing the things that lead up, the end result is with a W. So we're gonna work hard on preparing and doing things right, and then getting out on the field and compete. I want everybody out there competing hard, giving us their best effort. The one thing about being here at Arkansas, it's always been about being tough and physical and hard-nosed, and we got to get to that.
I've always thought about Arkansas being tough and physical and hard-nosed in football. That's what they got to get back to. But that's he's just laying it out of what he wants to see. But I really wanted to play this clip because I know this is what made Curtis laugh too when he's asked about Courtney Crutchfield. And about him, because I haven't heard, not that I haven't heard it. Actually, the only time I've ever thought about Courtney Crutchfield is when we do our EA Sports College Football live stream, and I still see him on the rep depth chart when we're going through. I'm like, oh yeah, him. But either way, he was asked about Courtney Crutchfield, and just was very direct on his comments about him.
Yeah, first of all, when he got here, he was out of shape. So he spent spring really going home, and he was heavy. He would have a little bit too much adipose tissue in his stomach area, and he worked extremely hard in the summer. I was really proud of the way he came back in the summer on the percent of body fat. His weight was way down, and all of a sudden now you looked at a guy that had a hard time going 5 plays in a row fast. Now he's going 8 plays, 9 plays in a row, and getting in a position where you really like to see him. Took him a little bit of time to learn the offense. That's understandable. Young guy, that's harder than say like Blake, who's been through in 3 different installations, and now you pick things up a little bit quicker because you learn how to do it. But I do feel extremely excited about Courtney and his abilities, and now he has the understanding of the offense. I'm looking for him to get out there and make plays for us.
Fellas, I think we all have been there once in our lives where we've had a problem with the adipose tissue that's been going on. But how about that? Just not out of shape and not very, not looking the part of a major SEC wide receiver.
it's the most I've ever been able to relate to an SEC wide receiver, given some of his issues there. That's hilarious, man. That's the most PC way to call somebody fat that I've ever heard. And we can laugh about it because, one, he followed it up by saying, hey, he worked really hard, got in great shape. He's, in position to help us now. Two, Courtney Crutchfield, at his worst when he showed up on campus, is still in better shape than, I'll ever be in. So it's funny because like this, these guys are elite level athletes, and but you hear that and it just it reminds me when I was in college and I was doing my athletic training rotation. They assign you to like different teams on campus every season. You go and tape ankles and check their knees and all that kind of stuff. And my first one was with men's soccer. And I'm not a soccer guy, but whatever, like you don't get to choose. And the coach would walk around during practice and he would make the guys lift up their shirt. He'd walk up to them and say, all right, show me. And if they didn't have a 6-pack of abs, they sent them over to the training staff, and it was ab circuits, conditioning. And he wouldn't let them practice until they had a 6-pack. And as soon as I heard Bobby Petrino talking about Courtney Crutchfield, I was like, damn, I wonder if that's what they were doing. Like send him over to the training staff, do some planks, brother. Like we got to get this figured out over here. But hilarious stuff. Happy to hear that he's been, performing well. They need somebody to step up for Jaylen Brown, who is going to be out for the season. I know he mentioned Andy Jean as another guy in there, and, probably CJ Brown moving outside, different things they can do, but you need another body to step up there. And hopefully that's Crutchfield now that he is no longer overweight.
Yeah, I think this is like the third or fourth time we've gotten the Courtney Crutchfield needs to step up spiel. We got it in the spring when he first got there. We heard it in fall camp early. We heard it right leading up to the season of like, hey, we think he's making progress, but we need Courtney Crutchfield to step up. We need Courtney Crutchfield to step up. I don't know if I'm getting closer and closer, like buying it, especially because he still is not playing in those games. But yeah, it's definitely not a secret. Courtney Crutchfield needs to start contributing. It's his second year of college football, right? Or is it his third?
Second
year of college football, right? So, it's not a completely unknown thing for a second year guy in year two to start, now at the end of your redshirt freshman year. Okay, now maybe you're ready to play. So it's far from time to write Courtney Crutchfield off. But at some point, I just want to hear hey, Courtney Crutchfield has stepped up. And he did say he's done a few things better, but I'm tired of hearing the Courtney needs to step up spiel. I want to hear the Courtney has stepped up spiel. But if I can offer a quick, very minor defense of Courtney, I've seen this comment a couple times now in the chat of, Courtney only knew 5 plays and now he knows 8. That is not at all what Bobby said. Like just blatantly not what he said. He said he was in bad shape and he was having trouble in the spring running 5 plays in a row. When you're doing on offense and you're running 5-play racks or 10-play racks or whatever, he was having trouble doing 5 plays full speed. Now he's doing 8 plays full speed. That's what Bobby meant. Now he is struggling with the playbook, which Bobby has been open about, but it was not he only knew 5 plays and now he knows 8. So we can have this conversation, but come on.
Yeah. And I know this didn't happen. It's going to sound mean, but I find it humorous if if he was sitting there eating a granola bar, Petrino just goes over, but I can hear you getting fatter.
Yeah.
You get to the weight room, buddy. It's like
slaps it out of his hand.
Yeah. Just like, obviously that's not what happened, but still it's the thing is like last time I checked football, you need to be in a certain shape, and especially if you're a wide receiver. And I've always felt like that there's so many kids these days, especially if they're coming out of high school and whatnot. They're such gifted athletes, like so gifted, so much better than everybody they play, that they don't have to do, put in that work and all of that. And that's fine. But when you get to that next level, it's like, okay, everybody's putting in more work than you, and you have to get to that level and you're in shape because you're not this above all else gifted athlete. Sure, there's some of them like Traylon Burks. Yep. Traylon Burks, like he was just so next level. He didn't have to go to the gym. Imagine what he could have done if he would have done it as much. But sometimes you have those types of athletes, but that's what it sounded like to me. Is just Crutchfield was an extremely gifted guy that didn't really have that element, didn't have it instilled because he's always been that way his whole sports career. And then he gets here, he's like, oh, I have to do this now. It's not a slight to him. It's just honesty. You adjust, you got to change, and you got to get your body in the right shape. And to play for Petrino, especially at the wide receiver position, last time I checked, guys, I don't think Jarius Wright, Greg Childs, Joe Adams, Kobe Hamilton, any of those guys were not in shape. They were very, very much in shape, and they have to be.
Yeah, man. And sometimes, dropping a few LBs is the key to unlocking greatness. Ask Mason Jones.
Yeah, we've got all kinds of losing a lot of weight stories. Hey, since we're on the topic of Razorback wide receivers that need to step up and contribute, is there anybody that's going to give us credit for back in fall camp whenever we told you that Antonio Jordan was not going to be the number 3 wide receiver on this team, and everyone yelled at us and said we were idiots and was like, oh no, he's actually great. Is anybody going to circle back and be like, hey, damn, maybe we should have listened to y'all?
Well, not yet, because he had the ankle. And so now he's been back for a couple weeks and we haven't seen him. So yeah, maybe after this week or the A&M game, people will be like, all right.
Yeah, that would be funny if like this week,
but hell,
like 4 for 50 and a touchdown.
It would be crazy. But you lost, like, to further the point here, you lost Ishmael Cece, so he's out. You lost Monte Harrison, fall camp hero, he's out. You lost Jaylen Brown, a third wide receiver that was expected to be a important contributor for it. He's out. So like you're 3 men down already. So like in theory, you would think that they would get a couple of these guys to be able to step up and provide a little bit more, and he would be one of them. We'll see if that winds up being the case. I think that it will probably be some combination of Crutchfield, Andy Jean, and really just the other guys who have been playing already.
Andy Jean was banged up early as well, right?
He was, yeah.
And so, but now he's in. Of course, we saw him make I think it was his first catch of the year last week against Notre Dame. Maybe he can build on something like that. But yeah, it seems like if Andy Jean can be healthy and just like be available, which Bobby even kind of alluded to today, he's probably the safest bet out of all these guys that like haven't contributed yet. He's probably the safest bet to contribute, honestly.
You can't lead the club from the tub, boys.
Facts.
That's true. I've always said that. But I also feel too the Antonio Jordan thing. Until you brought it up, Andrew, I was like, yeah, I forgot that was like a huge controversy for like a quick second. Like I had somebody make an entire podcast on me just saying that, like, hey, let's pump the brakes on the kid. And like people were just like, John just knows nothing about sports. And I'm like, because I said, let's just relax until we see him in real game action instead of fall camp. Like, good grief.
As much as like we get kind of accused of being like the reactionary, over the top, overreactor or underreactor, sometimes things happen and people overreact and we're like, hey, don't overreact. And then, so it's like people got so worked up because you had literally recruiting guys in the state who were like, Antonio Jordan should have been a 5-star. And people believe that, and then came to us and we're like, hey guys, what do you think? Is Antonio Jordan a 5-star? And we're like, what? No, where did that come from? And so everyone got so worked up expecting him to be good. And now that he has not played, it's like they feel like they've been bamboozled. They've been hoodwinked. And it's like, no, you weren't bamboozled or hoodwinked. You just listened to the wrong people. Like, I don't know what to tell you because we didn't tell you that.
Yeah. And it's also like, hey, listen, we're not saying that he can't be a great player. He may end up being an awesome player and we're rooting for him to be. But just to dub him as that and then to be like, hey, let's just relax a little bit and then people be upset by it. It's like, no, it's this because we've seen a lot of those elements where guys have looked really good in practices or have all the attributes, but can't see the field for whatever reason. It does happen.
By the way, with Antonio Jordan, they say he actually does have a great work ethic. That was like one of the things they said in summer. They were like, he's a little bit more mature than most freshmen in terms of being ready to contribute and being ready to work out and all that.
Well, let's go ahead and get to your chats, but want to remind everybody that here on Inside Arkansas, we're presented by our friends over at Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. We're getting closer to the holiday season, and we know that Halloween is this month. And for those of you who want to get some Halloween lights and start making your house look and be awesome and look the part for the spirit of Halloween, well, you better give our guy Brett a text because he is the best in the business. And that's why we love having Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. You can text him at 479-459-1380. That's 479-459-1380. And it doesn't have to be just Halloween lights. Listen, Christmas. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Christmas lights, that's a big deal. That's a very big deal. A lot of people like doing it, but man, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It can be consuming on your Saturday. Well, don't worry about it. Just let the pros over at Walter Christmas Lighting help you out. They provide the materials. You get any color, any pattern. They install the lights, and you get free maintenance throughout the holiday season. So give them a text today for a free estimate, 479-459-1380. It's Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, your local holiday lighting experts. All right, so get to a few of your chats because we'll have a best and worst of the weekend as well as a recruiting update from our guy Dudley here in just a little bit. But we know the rules. Super chats always get read first. So Fishman says, listening to Bobby, I'm seriously wondering, WTH, what Pittman was actually doing other than collecting paychecks that I'd give my left ball to get. Okay.
Listen, I saw someone in the chat earlier that was like upset that we kept prefacing things by being like, we're not trying to be mean to Pittman, but And then we would say something mean about Pittman. They're like, just be mean. He sucks. Screw him. And I don't feel that way. Like, I really don't. And I don't think Sam Pittman like maliciously went into this year being like, I'm going to just collect checks and not do anything. But do I think that Sam Pittman the last couple of years at Arkansas was at the tip top of his motivation? No, not even relatively close at all.
Yeah. Also, those band geeks, he's been a member for 2 months. He says, like and subscribe. It's free, costs you nothing, and gives you hours of great content. Keep up the good work, fellas. Thank you, David.
Yeah, appreciate
and it's true. It's true. Hours of content. Let's see. A few of these we'll get to. And speaking about this, Hickory Hog says, Pittman was scared to lie. If he didn't know, he just told you that. Most coaches are not scared to lie to you. If they don't have a plan, they'll figure that out later, but will lie to give confidence. I mean, I could see that in some cases, but if we're talking about the Petrino thing, I actually do believe Petrino has a plan and he has a way of doing it, and that's what he wants to accomplish. Doesn't mean he will, but I think a lot of the great coaches, the best coaches that we've ever seen, especially in college football, they're just wired different, where they're like, it has to be done this way, and this is why it's going to be done, and I'm going to instill a plan to make it happen. Like, I just think that's the great coaches all do that. Like Nick Saban, you don't think that guy was just about the smallest details of like, he could walk in, not to say he'd walk in and make Arkansas undefeated this year, but he'd walk in and be like, we're changing these things because these things will make a huge difference in winning. Like, that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel bad because I'm towing the line between defending Sam and being mean to Sam. I don't know if I can buy the idea that every other coach just like lies and they have no idea all the time and they're lying constantly. I'm sure they're lying here and there. And I'm sure there's times where coaches get asked questions and they haven't really thought about it. But I don't know. I think it's actually pretty uncommon for college football head coaches in the SEC to get asked questions every single week and not know the answers to the questions every single week. I don't think that's as common a thing as we are making it out to be. And I love Sam Pittman. I really do. I don't think that's necessarily a true statement. They're like, oh yeah, all these coaches just don't know what the hell they're doing and publicly, lie just because they, to cover it up. I don't know. I think at least they have thought about it before.
Well, they at least possess the capabilities and the depth to be able to formulate a coherent response, whether that's the actual plan or not, whether it's what they're going to do or not. They can talk their way through it as opposed to having to be like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing too of like, Pittman, it was about any coach. You ask most of the time about decisions you make. And it's like, if you're the one making that decision, it's like, so you have a reason as to why. That's what it comes down to. So,
dude, I remember sorry, not to get us off topic here, derail this, but I remember one time when it was when Bobby was coming to play Pittman with Missouri State and Jordan Jones. Y'all remember Jordan Jones?
Oh yeah.
He was on Bobby's team. He was like his wide receiver 4 or whatever. And they asked Sam Pittman, they're like, hey, do you remember Jordan Jones at all? Because, you were on the same staff as when he was a redshirt or a true freshman or whatever. And Pittman was just like, I have no idea who you're talking about. And he wasn't trying to be mean or disrespectful. He just was like, have no clue. And that was a guy that was on a team that he coached on and was in the scouting report for the game he was about to play on Saturday. And he was very transparent of like, I just don't know who you're talking about. And it's not a huge deal, but like, I don't think any other coach in the SEC would be that unaware of a guy they were about to play that week, in my opinion.
Yeah. Let's see. Ryan says, not throwing shade. We have a lot of that. That should just be our new thing. But Cam Ball gets winded too easy in game. I know that's easy to say as a 30-year-old on the couch every Saturday. Well, it's probably because he's playing 82 snaps a game.
That's where I'm at. Like when you don't come off the field ever, you're going to be winded a little bit quicker. I mean, a 320-pound man who's playing in the, like you're only going to ever be in such like a certain level of shape, right? Like you're just going to have more adipose tissue in the stomach area than wide receivers and running backs and everybody else. When you're playing that amount of snaps, nobody in the SEC is doing that and able to do it for 4 straight quarters without getting a break there. And so when your defense is out there on the field and it's long sustained drive after drive and you're out there for every single snap and you're the one guy who's not getting rotated in for, yeah, man, you're going to get tired. Like what's the alternative what are you going to do? Just make him take every single rep at practice or, get off to the side and run a bunch of sprints. And then it's going to be better when you put him in the game and play 75 snaps again. Probably not. It's just kind of the situation that they're in because they don't have anybody else to utilize.
Also, let's see. Art Broken Hawk says, I love that Tenor has no idea what to prepare for as the defense is concerned. Well, I mean,
I don't think they're worried about that.
I about to say their thing is because they have one of the worst defenses in the SEC too, like besides Arkansas. But the thing is that they score so much. So, I mean, to me, it's like we could sit here and talk about, what are they doing, what they're doing. Josh Heupel's a good coach, and he's going to just worry about his thing. He's got 2 weeks too. They've had a bye week this past week, so he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, if I'm a Tennessee fan looking at this, like the flip side of it, my thought process would be, our offense is cooking, and they've got a bunch of new defensive coaches in there and an interim head coach for a defense that already sucked.
Yes.
So we're not really worried about what it is they're going to be doing. They have to try and stop us with this whole new regime. Good luck.
Not to mention they're coming off a bye week as well. So they probably have a lot of plays they're going to run in this game that Arkansas is not seeing, to your point. So, yeah.
Heartbroken Hog also says, I'll definitely be interested to see if he's going to give us some look our players in the eye moments. I'm about Petrino yelling. That wasn't even his best crash out when he was Arkansas coach. The one against LSU in 2010 when they said that the officials, Arkansas was trying to run out the clock, and Nile Davis took a little slow to get up, but he got up and they called an injury timeout and it stopped the clock. That was the one where he crashed out the best. So it was that one. It was the look my players in the eye was South Carolina 2010. And he had another one too. I mean, he had quite a few where he would just lose his mind. So I hope they mic him up. Imagine I keep bringing up Hogs Plus, but imagine if you had Bobby Petrino mic'd up during the entire game. Shoo. It'd be like I feel like it would maybe not be as bad as Jason Brown from Last Chance U as far as profanity, but maybe like Buddy Stevens, maybe to that level of nastiness that get thrown out there. Also, Hickory Hawk says, I hope Taylon's been letting Sorry borrow his VR, replaying that Memphis running back stiff arm over and over again, stewing on it for a week, and comes out on fire for Tennessee. Maybe.
That would be hilarious if Taylon sat him down and was like, hey, I've got this cool headset. I'm going to help you use it. But here's the kicker. You have to rewatch this same play over and over again.
Yeah.
I heard Taylor was going to bring him out to Goat Lab to watch that Memphis game all over again on Friday, but he decided not to. So
yeah, they heard that it was too packed because of the house we had in there.
It was too packed. Also, will you agree to this? Andrew Dillon says if Bobby goes 7-0, Andrew has to shave his head.
Yeah, 100%. I will. And this is a good one. This is a great example of doing something outlandish. People will literally be like, if Arkansas beats Ole Miss, Andrew's got to shave his head. I'm like, they're like 3-point underdogs. What are you talking about? I'm like, that's way too likely. Now, to be fair, I said I would shave my head if Arkansas baseball had come back from the losers bracket, which I feel like was way more likely than Arkansas going 7-0 in football. So, yeah, this is a great example. This is the type of suggestions I can hear. And if this one doesn't hit, keep this in mind when you make your next suggestion. If it's like, hey, if we make the Sweet 16 in basketball, Andrew's going to shave his head. No, that's not happening. It'll be something crazy.
Yeah. No, that's a fair one. I feel because I agree. Like I'm not going to say it because then I do something crazy if Arkansas went 7-0. I'm just saying I would do something crazy.
I would do something crazy, and it would be shave my head on camera.
There you go. And finally, also too, because we'll do our best worst of the weekend. Go Hogs says, y'all think Missouri made him fat knowing he transferred back here? Sure, yeah. It was all part of Eli Drinkwitz's plan. It's like he's just like, I know he's leaving, so we're just gonna feed him with Snicker bars and Doritos and make him not be in shape. No, that's not.
I don't put anything past Drink though. I don't put anything past him. It's not outside the realm of possibility that it was all part of his plan, just like the John Gruden care package, just like coming in and swiping JJ Bush when you're down. I mean, it's one thing after another with that guy. He's diabolical.
It's crazy how many Hog fans, Curtis, have unironically in their hearts believed that there's like something to this. I'm like, or is it possible that he just went to Missouri, wasn't in their top 9, and he let him leave because he didn't care? Like he probably forgot about his existence completely.
Listen, that's a rational thought. I'm all on the Drink he's a villain. You know, he's trying to send his offensive coordinator over to infiltrate the Arkansas football program as we speak. So
it's like if your coworker that you don't like offers to buy you lunch and you're like looking at the sandwich and you're like,
yeah,
you put something in my, it's like, dude, I just bought you a $5 sub. Like, relax.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's go ahead and do our best and worst of the weekend here on Inside Arkansas. And then we'll have our recruiting update and we'll get into some of your chats as well. But best and worst of the weekend. Well, first off, it was just nice. I know that you guys had things that go on in personal life, but my birthday was great. I appreciate everybody reached out and wished me a happy birthday. It was very nice of all of you. So thank you so much. But I'll do my kind of like sports related and then my non-sports related. Sports related, I won't play the video because we'll get demonetized. But seeing Rick Neuheisel and watching his son win against UCLA, and that was really, really cool. Because, you know, some people would take that as like Penn State, for somebody's like, oh, he's rooting for this. But he put it perfectly. He's like, when it's your kid, it doesn't matter what they're doing. If they get put on a stage and they get to succeed and you get to watch them, he's like, there's nothing better and a more prouder moment for you as a dad. So I'm like, that was awesome. That was really cool to see. My non-sports related one for best of the weekend was obviously Friday, my birthday, but, you know, we had a great time at Goat Lab, prime time at the Palace. Was that night too. Like, you know, so many people, and I know Curtis and Andrew, you had the same thing. Like, so many people came up to me, came up to us, showed out. Like, that type of stuff is always so humbling and so awesome. Like, really, because listen, we do the show, we do our podcast, we sit here in front of a microphone with a camera talking to ourselves essentially. But to see that many people and that many people who like what we do, and, you know, just to come up to us and talk to us or get pictures, like, that is just such a flattering and awesome thing. And that was such a great time. I mean, everything about that Friday was awesome, but just to be able to interact with all of you listeners, all you fans and everybody was a really awesome thing, especially over there at Goat Lab. Packed the place out, which was awesome too. So to me, that was one of my best of the weekend, is just everything involved when it comes to what we were doing with the Razorback basketball, with Goat Lab, all of that. It's definitely one of my best of the weekend. Yeah,
that's awesome. Echo every single sentiment that you laid out there. That was really cool. Felt good, man. Looking forward to doing some more of that for sure. I'll do a sports related and a personal related too. That I think that's a good way to go about this today. Sports related, the pro day, man, yesterday for Arkansas basketball, that was just really cool. You know, I mean, that's awesome. It's they've been doing pro days, right? Like, it's not a new concept. Eric Musselman did it, but, you know, media was never invited out there, and they sure as hell weren't streaming it on anything. So, you know, for those who watch primetime at the Palace on Friday, and that was cool for what it was. Like, it was entertaining. You know, you get a first glimpse at the players, and it's just for fun and, you know, some show. It's like an exhibition event out there. But you probably wanted to see the guys mix it up and play harder. And this is very competitive, man. Like, scouts from all 30 NBA teams were there. And I know some people were irritated by, you know, Fratello on the Zoom. I was too. I think we could have done without that. It just made it a little bit awkward. He was talking over Cal at different points there. I was like, what the hell? But the whole thing was pretty sweet, man. Like, you got to see these guys get up and down a little bit. You got to hear Cal coaching them up quite a bit. And I know some people were frustrated, like, oh man, but they just kept stopping the scrimmage. Why didn't you just let them play? What's going on there? Well, we got to understand that they're showcasing themselves in front of all these NBA scouts who are going to be able to watch all 31 games they're getting ready to play this season. They don't need to see them get up and down. They need to see the little things and their strategy behind it. Like, so the reason why John Calipari was stopping them every other possession and saying, all right, we're going to do this, this, and this. And he was challenging them with different terminology. Hey, I'm not even drawing anything up on a whiteboard. I'm going to tell you guys what I want you to do. That way these NBA scouts can see if you can go out there and execute it. And so that's a lot of what was going on there. I thought it was sick, man. I feel a lot better about this team and knowing the strengths and weaknesses of the players. A cool deal. And I hope that they continue to do that moving forward. I'm looking forward to seeing them on Sunday. So really happy with the pro day. Personal front, mentioned it at the top though, but we are a month into this parenting thing. We haven't broken our baby. That makes me happy. Wesley's a good man. He's growing like a weed. He's almost 9 pounds now. We had him at the pediatrician earlier today, getting checked out, and very, very happy, very thankful, grateful for all the little moments with the little man. Very proud of Michelle, absolutely crushing it on the mom front. And so, yeah, heart is full after the weekend. There's basketball and baby going on. You can't be too mad about things in the world.
Yeah, I was happy to. My best of the weekend might just be meeting Wesley on Friday night. That was cool. Got to hold him for a little bit there. That was fun.
He's been thinking about that for a while, by the way.
I'm sure he has. Yeah. I can't wait to see him again, man. I've already been planting the seed of me being the guy that he comes to when he has like real issues and that he needs to hide from his parents. Like, I'm the guy to go to. You did something really stupid and you don't want your dad to know about it, I will keep that secret for you, Wesley. I swear, for future years. John, real quick, did you do anything? I know obviously Friday night you were at Bud Walton, you were at Go Lab. Did you do anything Saturday like crazy for your birthday?
None whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. I didn't know if you
it was honestly just nice to not do anything, like just to not. So it was the best birthday ever because of that fact.
Well, I'm going to start with a personal one. I got engaged Saturday, which was really sick. It was a long time coming. I know a lot of people in the chat were wondering, and we're like, "Hey, man, when you going to pull the trigger?" I think if you're in the chat and you've been following this journey with us, you can probably put two and two and to get together and figure out why it took me 3 years to propose to Hillary. But no, man, it was a long time coming. It was worth the wait. I did it at Baum-Walker Stadium, which probably isn't a huge surprise to some people. Shout out to Bobby Warnes, man. I got to give Bobby Warnes a lot of credit because he could have very easily said no when I asked him to do this. And, I've always been cool with Bobby. Like, I've never had a bad interaction with Bobby, but I wouldn't say me and him were like best friends ever, where it was like, I knew for sure I could just be like, hey, man, let me get in bomb on a Saturday that y'all are scrimmaging and let me drop a knee here. But he was super on board. As soon as I told him about it, he was like, I want to do whatever I can to make it happen. And he hooked us up, man. Let us get in there. We had her parents there, my parents. And it was a really, really special moment. And a day, obviously, I'll never forget. And I'm just happy about that. I'm very happy. On the sports front, though, since we're moving on here, on the sports front, I do have a couple, though. I want to start using my best and worst of the week to just highlight, performances that I feel like teams that really raise their stock a lot. And I want to give the Patriots, the New England Patriots, because I feel like they had the coolest NFL win of the week. They beat the Bills last night. Shout out to Drake May. He's good. Hunter Henry continuing. Did y'all see did you see Tom Brady refer to Hunter Henry as the greatest New England Patriot tight end of all time?
Oh, yeah.
Thought that was pretty funny. And I also got to give a shout out to Billy Napier, who beat Texas, exposed Arch, which just happens every week now, and may have saved his job, at least for the time being. I can't think of a better Razorback weekend than the one we just saw. And Curtis, as you know, I am so deep into the Kool-Aid with Razorback basketball. Yeah. More so, honestly, Friday. Like Sunday was cool, but like Friday, really just like the excitement was there. I did like seeing them Sunday, but like I'm trying to like restrict myself. I'm trying not to go back to the Kool-Aid well too many times, but it was a really good sports weekend in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it was like, I think we can all agree with that. Like, there's just a lot of like good college football for crappy slate. It was good seeing Texas lose the way that they did, and seeing Penn State lose was kind of funny, with the James Franklin thing. And like, it's like, honestly, that's kind of leads into my worst of the weekend, is just after all of that, realizing, man, wouldn't it have been nice for Arkansas to be good at football this year? Because I see the top of the standings in the SEC, and it's like Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Missouri, and Texas A&M. Like that's like the top of the SEC standings right now. Those are the undefeated teams, and nobody has looked good. Like, I mean, there's teams that are good. Bama's good. Georgia's good. Like, I'm not saying they're not, but they're also not like these teams that are just, oh, you have no chance far and away. It's as wide open as it's been. It truly is. Like, Missouri, you guys should just be on your knees thanking God for your schedule, because you may play in the SEC title game this year. Like, you truly might. Ole Miss, if you don't play in the SEC title game this year, I don't know what it's going to take, because you're already ahead of the curve. You're 3-0 in the SEC. But it's just it kind of was a bummer to me to just like look at the whole SEC thing. Like, man, there was a year that Arkansas could have found a way to get into the mix, into the chaos. It could have been this year, but never works out that way. By the time Arkansas gets good again, it'll be when just everybody's dominant and beating the brakes off of everybody. So yeah, that's a bummer. Also, too, another real quick one, the fact that Bill Belichick banned North Carolina from tweeting out any clips or videos of Drake May's success because he plays for the Patriots. Apparently, that's a thing that's being reported, that no Patriot clips of any players because of Bill Belichick. I'm like, this guy.
You see, they immediately put out like a 10-second clip of him completing not even a touchdown pass, just a pass, and they were like, no, we're not being forced not to do this. Here's a 10-second clip of him that goes into a UNC edit.
Yeah, like between that and just how badly they suck, so bad. Yeah, they get my worst of the weekend for sure.
Fair enough. But one honorable mention best that I wanted to throw in there. We have more pressing matters today, but the UFC card this weekend was awesome. Ooh. Absolute banger. Alex Pereira Poatan back on top. That was a highly entertaining card. I really enjoyed that. Andrew, I know you did too, and we haven't got to talk about it a ton, so we will. Don't worry. I love that one. My worst of the weekend, it's the New York Jets, man.
Yeah.
the last winless team in the NFL. I think I heard today that they're the only team in the NFL through 5 games that hasn't forced a turnover. And then, the legend, of that franchise, Mark Sanchez, he pulled off the double dip of getting stabbed and arrested at the same time. So
tough combo there.
I couldn't imagine being a Jets fan. I don't know what that's like. I think I only know one of them, but I feel bad for the situation that those poor lads are in. So, I
mean, it's tough when, Mark Sanchez is a part of, I would say, one of the most tragic and embarrassing plays in organized sports history, right? The butt fumble is one of the worst moments, like most embarrassing. It's really tough for that to no longer be the most embarrassing moment of your life, right?
Brutal, man.
That team now has a worse low than that. That is a tough one. In the interest of having ridiculously horrible fumbles that are not the worst thing you've done, you mentioned them being the last winless team in the NFL, Curtis. The Titans are no longer in that group because they got a win over the Cardinals, who, in my opinion, Arkansas's loss to Memphis and Notre Dame included. I think the Arizona Cardinals loss yesterday is the worst loss any football team has suffered this year in terms of just backbreaking. How do you explain it? How do you recover from it? One, the Cardinals are now 2-3, and they're going to be a team that, not in a great division. They had a chance. They could have maybe made the playoffs. You're not making the playoffs after you lose a game like that. And so this whole Kyler Murray era is probably over. They were up 21-6. For those that did not keep up with the NFL, they're up 21-6, have a running back break free for what should be a 70-yard touchdown, fumbles at the 1-yard line, does the let's go of the ball too soon thing, fumbles at the 1-yard line, and this is at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And that was not the worst fumble of the fourth quarter. Literally had an interception that should have ended the game, that they fumbled into the end zone, that they recovered, and the Titans recovered, and that's how the Titans ended up coming back and win. Shout out to Cam Ward, though, gets his first NFL win. Spencer Rattler got his first NFL win, but there were some bad losses this weekend, and it was good to see Texas among those as well.
Yeah. Listen, there was a lot of those. Texas losing the way they did made me happy and made me laugh.
Dude, is James Franklin in trouble? Can we talk I think it's crazy to a guy as accomplished as him might be in danger of losing his job, but dude, they hate him up there. They hated him before they lost to the worst team in college football.
It just feels like there's an expiration date on every coach. You always kind of wear out your welcome. And it happened with Cal at Kentucky. It's happening with Dabo right now. I kind of feel that exact same way about James Franklin, where it's been so consistently good for so long, but at some point people are going to want more. And that game last week against Oregon was almost like the point where it's almost like you realize, okay, it's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was the end. And this game against UCLA just affirmed it. Because it's okay, nobody gives a damn if we go beat UCLA, because we know we're not going to beat Oregon. They're not going to beat Ohio State. They're not going to get to where they want to be. And you want to talk about a letting go of the rope. That's a bad UCLA team. They the cool story with the kid calling the plays that had been doing it for 2 days and didn't know how to use his damn headset. He just beat James Franklin and Penn State in that game. That's a horrific loss for them.
But is it all only because of the travel across the country?
People are talking.
Which, by the way, actually might be true, which is another example of how stupid it is. But yeah, no, that's crazy. Penn State losing. And if you're going to be the coach that doesn't win the big game, if you can't win the big one, that's a bad thing to have. But you can easily survive it by just winning all the small ones. You can't start losing the small ones if you're going to be the coach that doesn't win big games. A couple of honorable mentions I had. 2 Texas football coaches who used to coach at Arkansas had horrible losses this weekend. Did y'all catch this? G.J. Kinney loses as a 2-touchdown favorite to Arkansas State, who we know sucks. And Jeff Traylor loses at Temple as a 6.5-point favorite. Not the end of the world, not a huge deal, but I just thought that was notable. 2 former Arkansas staffers who are kind of in that Traylor, not really, but been floated around. Both had pretty excruciating losses.
Yeah, no, that was brutal. We'll keep you up to date on all those coaches that are connected with Arkansas and what they're doing to let everybody know which week that you feel good about them being the next head coach or not. But either way, we'll do our recruiting update here on Inside Arkansas Live. We'll get to your chats and then close up shop. But one reminder about our recruiting update with Dudley Dawson, presented by our friends over at Goat Lab Red. We had a great time there Friday night. Appreciate everyone that showed up there at 1214 North Garland Avenue. They ran out of wings. They were busy. They were understaffed, which, by the way, Bill just wants me to relay that's an anomaly. And next time we're there, that you're going to get served 10 minutes or less or you get it for free. That's how much of a guarantee that they have. So they wanted to apologize, let everybody know that it's going to be so much better next time, and we appreciate them being a part of it. So it's going to be awesome. We really appreciate everyone coming out. But if you have a chance to go over there, check it out. It's the newest place for your game day tradition when it comes to all things Razorbacks. They have the Goat Lab brews over there, like Razorback, Tusk Light, and they have signature burgers. And every day at noon, they have Inside Arkansas Live playing live right there in their location. So be sure to check it out today. It's Goat Lab Red, 1214 North Garland Avenue. It's Goat Lab Red, your new game day tradition. And with that, here's your recruiting update with our guy, Dudley Dawson.
Covering recruiting and the transfer portal for the Razorbacks. This is Inside Arkansas Recruiting with Dudley Dawson.
Welcome to the Inside Arkansas Recruiting Update, sponsored by Goat Lab Brewery. I'm your host, Dudley Dawson. A little action happened this weekend. Obviously, you had a couple of decommits. Cameron McGee from Grayson, Georgia, is a defensive lineman, 6'4", 315. He decommitted on Saturday night. And running back Jordan Avenger, 6'3", 225, out of Orangeboro, South Carolina. Wilkerson committed Sunday night. He had visited North Carolina this weekend, and they apparently are now the leader for him. He was offered by former Arkansas running back coach, now interim offensive coordinator, Colby Smith. Both of these kids have added offers since Arkansas offered him. McGee now has offers from Kansas State, Alabama, LSU, some others. So that will, it's not surprising. He's kind of looking around. So these two are the 10th decommits since Sam Pittman was fired, and 12th since September 11th. One other development this weekend, you had Trey Hodges, the outstanding running back from Bryant. He committed to Missouri on Saturday, 4-star running back. Been known for a while that he and Arkansas weren't going to get together, so it wasn't much of a surprise, really. But, now it's down to where it is. Then that's 15 commits left in this 2026 class. That is 57th overall in the country and 16th out of 16 SEC teams. Missouri had been 16th because of their low number of commits, but jumped up this weekend with the addition of Trey Hodges. We'll be here for more developments as they occur. And once again, thank you to Goat Lab Brewery for our sponsors.
All right, there was your Inside Arkansas Recruiting update with Dudley Dawson, presented by Goat Lab. You can check out the Inside Arkansas Recruiting podcast right here on Inside Arkansas. Okay, a few more chats before we roll out of here. Dylan just says an hour-long pod at the Palace is better than caffeine. So just to let you know, if you guys are Alani fans out there, Red Bull, don't worry about it. Just listen to an hour-long pod at the Palace, and it'll do wonders for you.
Yeah, I knew with the pro day stuff that I was going to get long-winded on there today, man. And it was funny because everybody knew that's what we were going to talk about, and there's still people in the Discord like, is that it though? Like you're just doing the pro day stuff. Like, are you going to talk recruiting too for tomorrow's episode? Like, I'm thinking, shit, man, I got to have something to talk about the rest of the week. But yeah, there was a whole recruiting segment at the end. So,
Isn't that a lot better though, Curtis, than thinking, damn, what am I going to do on Thursday? Oh,
so
man,
much better. I'm usually stressed on Sundays because it's a day that you want to chill for the most part and everything. It's like a quote unquote off day. And a lot of times when it's out of season, there's not a whole hell of a lot going on. It's like you really have to dig deep for those Monday morning episodes. And that was not the case this weekend. It was a beautiful thing.
Well, Tamara also says, if you were a scout at Pro Day, name one player that really jumped out to you and grabbed your attention with a great showcasing.
Man, probably Malik Ewan. I would say Malik Thomas, it just continues to impress me. Makes shot after shot after shot after shot. Every time we see him, he's making shots. I think he's defending really well. In the scrimmage portion, he had some turnovers that were a little and then Cal was having to stop and be like, dude, you have to stop pounding a hole in the floor with that basketball, brother. Like you're over dribbling, my man. He was like, bang, 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 bang. We don't need that. 2 dribbles, put it up. But I thought he was really good. But Malik Ewan, I mean, the dude's 6'11", and he's knocking down threes, and he was not just doing it in drills. He was doing it in the live action stuff, which was really impressive to me. Showed off the offensive rebounding. He's comfortable handling it. He's smart in the DHO game. Like he's really good. I want to see more from him defensively, but if you're an NBA scout and you see a 6'11" guy who can shoot and handle the ball and do all those things, who hasn't been on your radar, that's probably somebody that's going to impress you quite a bit. And then TB, Billy, a lot of guys did really well for themselves. I thought DJ Wagner looked really good out there. But if I had to pick one, I would probably go with Ewan. Big fella with a skill set. You love to see it.
I wonder what you mentioned the defense with you, and I wonder what that is going to look like. And that's probably the big question mark he's going to have to kind of answer if he's going to get drafted. But I looked at Sunday as an Arkansas fan. Of course, I want to see these guys get drafted. That matters a lot to me. As we know, for Coach Cal, that's the priority. It's not winning games. It's not playing good basketball. It's getting guys drafted. But I looked at Malik Ewan Sunday, Curtis, and I thought, what is he as an NBA prospect? That's an interesting, talk to have. But I just look at him and I'm like, this is a freaking overqualified college big man. Like, this is a dude who, by the way, we're not even 100% sure is going to be in Arkansas's top 5. He is, but like, there's an argument to be made that he's not even in Arkansas's top 2 best big man. That dude is going to score at a high level. He's a matchup nightmare. He's spacing the floor like that. Like, that's a big deal. I mean, you think about him and TB on the floor together. If they're both spacing the floor, when's the last time Arkansas's ever had anything like that? And, will this team be like a 3-point marksman, among the top in the country? Maybe not, but in terms of just straight up floor spacing, it's going to be on a little bit of a different level this year, in my humble opinion, especially with the way the freshmen are shooting the ball.
And also, finally, Tamra just gifted one Inside Arkansas membership. So thank you, Tamra. Appreciate that. And Jakota also, who's been a member 2 months, says, can't wait to turn that damn Harley on inside Club Dub on Saturday.
Whoa.
There's a lot of things happening. A lot of things happening there. So, and also, finally, Heartbroken Hawk says, congrats on hitting 12K subscribers, by the way, y'all. Hey, thanks.
You do that, yeah.
Yep.
I usually am very aware of when we're about to hit a big milestone in the subscribers. This one snuck up on me because we've had a lot of subscribers in the last 10 days. In case y'all have not noticed, there's been a lot going on.
Yep. And that's why you need to keep it here for each and everything that is going on with Razorback sports, football, basketball, baseball, all that great stuff. So, well, guys, any final thoughts before we roll out here for the day?
Appreciate everybody, man, for tuning in. I feel like this was a good show today. We had a lot of people watching and everything. That was exciting. And I mean, you guys know the drill. Subscribe to the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel. 12,000 plus people have done it, and you need to be one of them if you're not already. If you're watching this show, if you watch the Pod at the Palace, if you watch Bombastic, the recruiting show with Dudley, Inside Arkansas football, if you tune into all those things, just click the button and subscribe. Turn the notifications on because we go live a lot when things happen, and it'll be worth your while. But appreciate everybody for tapping in. Make sure you watch Pod at the Palace in the morning. It's going to be another good one. And thanks.
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate what I said at the top of the show, that in the next 7 days, we are going to watch Arkansas play a football game. We're going to watch Arkansas play, is it a basketball game or is it just a scrimmage? Or we're going to see Arkansas play basketball. And we are going to see Arkansas play baseball twice against outside competition. I'm excited for that. We'll talk about that later in the week. I'm sure the action happening at Bomb. But how often, I mean, literally in the history of humanity, have there been weeks where in a 7-day span, you're going to watch all 3 athletic programs play some type of legitimate competition? It's an exciting time. There's a lot going on, of course, with the coaching search, but it's just an exciting time to be a hog on all fronts, man. We love our athletic department, don't we?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Directors Cup champions over here for Arkansas. But we do appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching in. Be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas. You can find our podcast in the audio form wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, Bombastic Podcast, Inside Arkansas Football, Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast, all those things. You can also check us out on social media at Inside Arkansas as well. And that'll do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis and Curtis Wilkerson, as well as intern Cameron, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow at noon. Great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.